Doom and gloom, or bullish and to the moon. So where focus goes, energy flows. We're going to dive into this and get your takes on where you guys think we're at with the market. So stay tuned.
Picture this. 6 months ago, Bitcoin was $50,000. If you'd deposited then, you could have grown your portfolio by thousands. But waiting? It costs you more every day. Drip2 BTC turns missed opportunities into gains. Buy Bitcoin, deposit it, and watch your wealth grow effortlessly. Vacations, new cars, financial freedom, it starts here. Drip2BTC.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm Poor Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. You may have heard this quote before. I heard it diving into the Tony Robbins universe, and it's basically this idea that where we put our attention, it's kind of like mindfulness, that emotional energy, mental focus, all these things attract that same thing towards us. And there's a lot of fact, scientific analysis and data on this and everything. So we're not going to go into that, but I want to bring this up because depending on where you're at in the market right now, and this is a perfect example, fear and greed, it's right in the middle. So there are plenty of headlines saying everything is going to crash and this is going to be the worst thing ever. Republicans wave off recession fear just as Democrats did on inflation. So it's like, hey, we don't hear you. U.S. economy shrinks in the first quarter as tariffs unleash flood of imports. The economy's going down. Americans feared imminent recession that may be enough to put us in one. Trump tariff policies raise fears of recession. Trump pushing the world towards recession. Wall Street pricing at a recession hike on the Financial Times. Recession. Like all this doom and gloom is there. But then again, depending on what you're focusing on, you could be sitting right here going, hey, this is great, bullish, we're all going to the moon. So that's the camp I sit in because, again, making this content now for 4 years. How many videos have I made now? Am I up to 2,000 videos yet? Let me see. Not quite. Only 1,884 videos. I say only. But the reason I bring this up is because if you've been in long enough and you've actually hedged your bets on one of the sound assets in the space, i.e. Bitcoin, then you're probably ignoring a lot of this, much like I am. And I'm going to play another clip. Raoul Pal was just at the SUI conference or something with SUI, and he basically went over his entire thesis in about 30 minutes. So for anyone that hasn't dove into the Raoul Pal universe, I think it's a great stepping stone into understanding all this, because a lot of us have this Bitcoin halving cycle, 4-year cycle, but before that cycle came into play, or before people understood the Bitcoin halving cycle, it was the Raoul Pal thesis, the everything code. So it's all driven by liquidity and the debt cycle and rolling over the debts. And that's all driven by aging demographics and population. So I just love the way he breaks that stuff down, because it lets us see that it's more than just gambling on magic internet money. It's actually kind of the foundational layer of our monetary and economic value in the world. And Bitcoin just got created out of that to give us a way out. That's the only thing that changed. Other than that, we would have just been still spiraling down in debt, and you'd have just gold, or if you're in the US, the stocks, and getting that 10% on average from the S&P 500. But the main TLDR for me is depending on where you're at in the camps of what you're digesting and what you're reading, that's going to determine kind of how you're approaching this market right now, where you're sitting. And that's, again, a perfect example of where the feed and greed index is at. People are literally sitting right here in the middle, because depending on what side of the bed you woke up on or where you put your tokens, you may be looking at oh shit, it's all going to crash. This is horrible. I'm not going to make any money. There's no more altcoin season or whatever. But if you hedge your bets accordingly to the Raoul Pal don't fuck this up thesis, 80-20, then you're probably looking at this being more bullish, like I am. And one thing I'm trying to dig more into is this extended cycle. So I think we are going to see this go well into next year. Everybody's speculating on that, but there's these theories based off of how long we've chopped sideways and the institutional money that's come in at the beginning of the previous cycle. So pre-halving, we had ETFs for Bitcoin. And then for the first time ever in Bitcoin, we had an all-time high prior to the halving. That was back here. Where are we at? Yeah, like here, I think. Yeah, we hit the 70s here. So this was the pre-halving, and that had never happened before in Bitcoin cycle. So I'm still in the same camp with the Raoul Pal thesis, the everything code, that this is still just another cycle, but I do believe that the dynamics have changed, and maybe the drawdowns that we'll see will be less and it'll extend longer. We'll still have a meme coin cycle or a altcoin cycle and all this other stuff, and more shit tokens, pump, all that stuff will come forward. But I just don't know when. I'm still hedging my bet, saying that by the end of second quarter, so February, March, April, May, June. So still got a month and a half where I'm still going out here publicly saying that we will hit all-time highs in Bitcoin by the end of June, we will see new all-time highs. Right now, where we at 94 and some change. So I don't know if we're going to come back down and test the 92 range, because we have these different levels with support and resistance now that I drew in. Again, I'm not your TA guru, but what I've shown you guys so far from the people that are far smarter than me, this is all played out. Gareth Soloway was the one talking about the 70s. We got down there and I got Bitcoin at 74,400 if I'm not mistaken. So almost right at the bottom. Not as much as I want. I didn't like put in a big buy order. I had DCAs all the way down. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that we could, again, chop sideways some more. Then we hit the next level, chop sideways in here. Then we hit the next level, chop sideways in here. So I believe that's how Bitcoin is going to start kind of its rocket ship takeoff. It's not going to be straight like this right now. Maybe those will come later on in third quarter, fourth quarter. We're still waiting to see what happens with the Fed and some of the other stuff. But now that we've already seen that every country is pretty much injecting liquidity, Bitcoin's going up regardless. So that's why, again, I don't pay attention to these headlines, because I have now literally put, I think 80% now in my income that comes in each month goes straight into Bitcoin. The other 20% goes into USDC on Coinbase. So I am 100%. It goes into my bank, unfortunately, because I haven't been able to get the people that pay me money to go straight into crypto. But it goes from my bank, and then I DCA the entire salary, the entire income, into Bitcoin and USDC. And that's just because I need USDC to pay my monthly expenses. So instead of holding dollars, I'm just holding Bitcoin and US stable coins. That's it. And yes, I know not your keys, not your coins, but I'm holding mine on Coinbase for right now, especially the USDC, just because the rates are there. The Bitcoin, I put some in cold storage and some that I'm using like on Ledden and now with Morpho. I'll have to do another review on Morpho, so I dug a little deeper. They are a non-custodial crypto. They're using smart contracts, so that is something to look into to see. I like that aspect to some degree, but there are, of course, smart contract vulnerabilities. So you, on one side, if somebody's had your Bitcoin, you have to trust the custodian. And on the other side, you have to trust the actual contract. Now, the contracts are open source, then they've been publicly tested. So that's some more digging I got to do, because I haven't figured that all out. That's why I don't have a bot on there. I was just testing it out with a small amount. But if it all lines up to be SAFU, then I will use that going forward alongside with Ledden. Ledden was about 10 to 12% and Morpho is about 5%. So we'll see. Ledden is more battle tested though. All right, so I've gone off on a tangent. The main thing was you get what you focus on. So if you've got a bunch of fear going on right now, then you're probably focusing on the wrong thing, and or you're over leveraged, and or you've gotten into a bunch of shit token community cult projects where they keep telling you to buy the dip, like the shit that I was in the last 3.5 years prior to now. So unfortunately, if you're in that, you're going to get wrecked. And the minute, even if you've been buying the dip now, the minute it pumps a little bit, you're just going to be exit liquidity, because those whales that already had most of the tokens, they're not buying the dip. All right, let me know where you guys are at, where you're sitting on the fear and greed index, where your focus is at, and where your energy is flowing. I have to also do a walk and talk video soon. I am actually no longer in the Kingdom of Wonder. I am now in a remote village in Thailand. So I have to show you guys that and let you see around the area. All right, smash that HBO special, help a brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.